The biggest names in news in exclusive one-on-one interviews. Connect with Katie Couric right now at CBSNews.com.
Now CNN's Anderson Cooper on assignment for 60 Minutes.
The story of a child star done in by fame is as old as Hollywood itself. But the story of a child star from one of America's greatest acting families, who nearly destroys herself, then bounces back to become not just a leading lady, but a major film producer, well, that story belongs only to Drew Barrymore. She was famous by 7, abusing drugs by 11, and at 15 was washed up and on her own. She may have come from acting royalty, but in many ways she was an orphan, a wild child raised by crews on movie sets. She's 34 now, and though she still sometimes talks like a teenager, she's become one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood, succeeding far beyond what anyone could have predicted. How did she do it? That's what we wanted to find out.
The story will continue in a moment.
We met up with Drew Barrymore on Broadway in New York. At the height of afternoon rush hour, she stopped traffic. Do you feel comfortable in New York?
I feel very comfortable in New York.
It's been a while, but a Barrymore on Broadway was something generations of New Yorkers were once used to. So the Barrymore Theater.
I can't believe we're going here.
This Broadway theater is named for her great-aunt Ethel, a legendary stage actress in the early 1900s. You have the same profile.
Yeah, we have that distinct, weird profile.
It's a good profile.
I don't want to be too self-congratulatory about it. I just love the fact that we have this sort of family stamp.
That Barrymore stamp graced silver screens from silent movies through the 1940s. Her great-aunt Ethel and her grandfather, John Barrymore, were considered the greatest actors of their generation.
May I say one thing? Oh. There is nothing to be said.
Drew's great-uncle Lionel was a famous character actor who will forever be known as the sinister banker Potter in It's a Wonderful Life.
You once called me a warped, frustrated old man.
Acting has been the family business for hundreds of years.
Going back to Georgiana Drew and John Drew and my great-grandfather Maurice Barrymore and this just, it was such a sort of circus of odd, interesting people that loved acting.
There are Barrymores who've been acting since George III was in power.
The 14th century, it dates back to the family tree, and I thought, well, I'm not crazy if I feel this magnetic bloodline pull to do this thing. It's going to get thrown out.
She felt the pull as a child, but she'd been pushed into the business long before that. That's true when she was just 11 months old, starring in a commercial for dog food. Her big break, however, came at the age of 6 in the blockbuster hit E.T. Drew's scene-stealing Gertie made her an international star. Movie audiences loved the precocious Gertie, and so did director Steven Spielberg, who Drew calls her godfather.
You know, I've always said about Drew that she's tenaciously optimistic. and she had really the kind of imagination that not only invited E.T. into a reality within herself, but it invited all of us to believe that what Drew was seeing was true.
On the set, between takes, 7-year-old Drew used to talk with E.T. She'd tell him her secrets.
I liked hanging out with him, and I would bring him lunch and put a little handkerchief around his neck.
But you knew he was fake.
I knew he was fake, but that red beating heart just said so much to me, and I don't know, I just felt like I could talk to him.
I just want to say goodbye.
Turns out the little girl with the famous family was pretty much on her own. Her father, an actor who struggled with drugs and alcohol, was rarely around. Drew's mom, who also acted, had to work to support them both. On the movie set, Drew says she finally found a home.
When I did E.T., it sort of solidified, like, the only family I know are these film crews, these gypsies, these filmmakers. That was the solidification and the clicking revelation of, this is what I want to do with my life. And this is where I'm going to survive.
It was a family.
It was the perfect family.
So what's it like when a movie's over?
That was the devastating part. Was just, okay, it's